Hi, welcome back. You've had a bit of a break. So, we've got the signpost up again. As you can see, what's the point? We've done that. We've talked about that, and we'll go through that a bit more over the coming weeks. So now I just want to talk a bit about the module and the various assessments that you'll be doing. So we'll quickly run through those. Okay, the module, essential reporting. So each week, as you're aware, because you're watching this, there'll be a lecture online. This will be available in the module area of Blackboard, and I'm going to aim to try and get them uploaded sometime on a Friday. I'll be aiming for Friday lunchtimes, so check on that if you can. And you do need to watch this lecture, which will be in 3 or 4 parts. So watch this before attending your workshop, please, because as part of the workshops we'll assume that you have watched this and you've picked up the little snippets and bits of knowledge that we'll be talking about. So the workshops, there'll be one online on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It'll be face to face, so you need to attend one of those, and please attend the one that you've been assigned for in your personal timetable. If there's any issues with your personal timetable, please contact the journalism school office and they'll resolve it. But there should be one clearly identified for you to go to, and like I say, it's important for you to stick to that one wherever possible, so we can make sure that numbers are even and everything goes okay. So over the next 12 weeks, one of the main things we'll be looking at is news writing, how to write a story, how to structure a story, how to come up with a good intro, a good second and third part, when to introduce quotes, what sort of information you need to contain in that news story. We'll also be looking at news gathering. Where do we get the news from? Traditional methods, talking to people, other methods, using social media. So sources will be dealt with over a couple of sessions. Interviewing as well, we'll be looking at, how do you get information out of people, what sort of questions should you ask, and I'll also be touching on the art of listening, which is incredibly important, just as important as asking the questions. We'll also be talking about news values, what makes a story newsworthy, what makes one story more newsworthy than another, how do we grade the story that we've got, and that'll influence how much we write about a story. For instance, like you might just write one story, but others may merit follow-ups, longer pieces of copy, things like that. And we'll also be looking at how to work effectively in a multimedia newsroom. When I started out as a journalist, I worked on the Macclesfield Express, and the only platform I had was a weekly newspaper. That was it. So nowhere else for my content or work to go. Whereas nowadays, newsrooms operate across print, online, social media, TV, radio. So you'll be working across all these various platforms. So times have changed quite a lot. So you need to be quite a versatile operator these days. So we'll go through all that. So quite a lot to get through over the coming weeks. You can find out a lot more about this in the module area on Blackboard if you've not had a look already. And there's loads of really good detailed information on there, including suggested reading lists, a bit more detail about the module itself. And that's where you'll find each week's content that we'll be doing that will make available to you as you go along. So have a good dig around in there if you can. Take a bit of time to familiarise yourselves with the workings of Blackboard. It's pretty intuitive, it's a pretty good system, and looks like plenty of information for you to dig around in on there. If you're not sure about any elements of Blackboard, then please ask me at the workshops next week. I'll try my best to help. Okay, assessments. Now, it might seem a bit early to talk about these as we're only just starting you on your journey to becoming news reporters, but anyway. The first assignment, which is worth 70%, so it's the main one by quite a long way. And it'll be a news writing test, which you'll get 90 minutes to complete. And we're going to be working on samples of the news writing tests each week in the workshops, so you'll be very familiar with the style. It's an online test. You'll write your stories on a Word document and then upload it into a system called Turnitin. Excuse me a second. Sorry about that. And it's worth mentioning now that the similarity is monitored very closely indeed. So that means that, if you copied some other colleague's work or handed your work to a colleague, it'd almost certainly get picked up by the systems we have in place. And then if you're found to have done that, you're getting into the realms of academic misconduct, which you definitely don't want to get involved with, really. So basic rules are: don't cheat, don't copy, make sure everything's your own work, and everything will be fine. And that'll be done in week 10 on a Thursday, that news writing test will. So plenty of time to get familiar with everything. The second assignment is worth 30%, so not as much as the first, and that's a critical analysis of a news story and log. So we'll be asking you to look at news stories, see how they're treated by different platforms, and have a really good analytical look at that. We'll also be asking you to fill in a log and also watch a council meeting online. But I can explain a lot more about that as we go along. And the deadline for that will be in early January. It's worth mentioning that when you do hand in your work, we do pledge to get the feedback and grades back to you in 15 working days. So that's 15 days, but it doesn't include weekends, bank holidays, a Christmas shutdown, things like that. So it's only working days. Okay. Don't worry if you're feeling a bit overloaded with information at the moment, because we'll have plenty of time to discuss all these matters that we're speaking about today. Okay, and the detailed assignment briefs are on Blackboard, so have a dig around, make sure you read those, familiarise yourselves with all the elements that you'll have to do. And just a quick word about late submissions. 1 second after the deadline counts as late, so the system will cut off. So you need to make sure you get your work in, on time. You can hand your work in late, however, if you do, your mark will be capped at 40%. 40% is the pass mark, so anything that's, less than that will be a fail. And the latest you can actually hand in your work to get it marked is 1 week. So if it's more than a week late coming in, it just won't be marked, and you'll score a 0. So it's worth mentioning actually, there are another couple of things. If you've got an adjustment plan or a PMC, a personal mitigating circumstance, then the cap can be lifted, but you need to apply for that formally to the university. So, okay. Now would be a good time for a quick break if you want, and then we'll come back and we'll do a quick brief on a bit of news writing guidance. Okay.